guys, I'm Kate and this is Sarah.
Hello. So we have finished the Backrooms Kane Pixels stories. So sad it's over, but not all the way over. Now that we finished it, we have questions. We want to know the timeline. And some of you in the comments have recommended the channel Red, and specifically Red's video about the timeline events. So we're going to watch that today and hopefully get some answers.
I hope we get answers, but I kind of feel like we're not. I feel like we're going to just be more confused.
Yeah, it could all click or we're just wasting time. Actually, we're never wasting time.
We're never wasting time.
Because we're having fun.
Exactly. We're learning things that we never knew before.
Yes. Yes. So join us.
With the growing hype surrounding Kane Pixel's Backrooms movie coming out next month, a lot of new people have begun to watch the series for the very first time. Like us. Even people who I've seen and follow on Twitter who never talk about this kind of stuff are watching it and coming away from it excited for the movie. I've also had a lot of new people and older fans from the comments ask me about making an up-to-date timeline and lore recap video. Yeah. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. We should also set some establishing context to avoid further confusion regarding Kane's lore and the greater internet lore surrounding the Backrooms. To start, it's important to remember that Kane's lore for the Backrooms is different from what you'd usually expect when talking about the Backrooms. There are no levels. The different looking areas of the complex have a specific reason for appearing in the way that they do. And while Kane may throw in a cheeky pool room reference, it doesn't mean we're going to see the pool rooms or level fun or anything like that in his series.
You hate level fun.
She clearly
there are
has
only
played
two
the games.
Entity types that we very rarely get to see or hear about. The life form
Recognize that guy.
And still life.
Still life.
Finally, Kane's version of the Backrooms handles no clipping in a very unique way as a concept. And the series
We've already learned something.
It is possible to have a way in and out of the complex. So, with that out of the way, let's get into the up-to-date timeline and lore recap for Backrooms. July 16th, 1931. Ivan Beck is born to Doris and Antonin Beck in Karlovy Vary, Czechoslovakia. August 4th, 1972.
My birthday!
Ivan Beck builds and tests the very first iteration of
they
what
did
would
this on your
eventually
birthday,
become the
Sarah.
low-proximity magnetic distortion system and KV-31 threshold. It is also during this time that the Earth is hit with a solar flare caused by a coronal mass ejection.
Maybe.
This solar flare and the resulting supercharged particles weakened the Earth's magnetosphere, allowing there to be what is known as ground-level events. GLEs occur when these charged particles reach the Earth and cause a variety of anomalous effects. These include the detonation of magnetic sea mines that were in the ocean near Vietnam, and what seemed to be an overload of the local electric grid, causing Ivan's machine to overflow, hit him, and leave him with a traumatic brain injury that would affect his memory, give him a blind eye, and
see your birthday
make him an anchor for the complex to be attached to Standard.
I feel like we didn't know.
May 10th, 1982.
Okay. How does
Ivan
she know,
Beck
though?
is now at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, which is located in Tennessee.
Yeah, we clearly just missed it.
Yeah, we missed
who we can assume is the DOE, the Department of Energy. This presentation is supervised by Philip R. Heyman, a supervisor who, at this point, we're unclear on whether he is a part of Async's team or the DOE. Anyway, the prototype is successful and showed the concentrating heating of target fuel, a necessary component for igniting plasma, and a vital part of fusion research. Sometime in the 80s, but definitely before 1988, Ivan Beck is offered a job in Silicon Valley. This job is for him to work at Async and further his research on the low proximity magnetic distortion system, and would eventually become the vice director of the institute. April 1988. Ivan Beck, as vice director of Async, holds a press conference.
I like how she shows the
videos.
Yeah,
that the intention of these low proximity magnetic distortion system tests and the program as a whole will be able to solve future and current storage and residential needs, saving billions of dollars on property construction and management, provided financial backing by the US government is granted, of course. July 2nd, 1988. Async tests the low proximity magnetic distortion system for the third time, but details for the experiment are not released to the public. However, we can see that while they were unsuccessful in their third test, they were very close. Specifically, we can see that the process involves igniting and then compressing the plasma to such a degree that it builds energy required for ignition. But it seems like this was done too quickly, as we see the plasma arc towards the camera before the machine is then shut off and reset. I believe this is an indirect reference to what Ivan actually saw and what happened to him during the events of overflow. Only imagine Ivan as the camera and imagine that arc of plasma hitting his eye. October 17th, 1989. As Async is running their 6th test of the low proximity magnetic distortion system, the resulting slow compression of the plasma creates such an intense electromagnetic disturbance that it ends up triggering the Loma Prieta earthquake, one of the deadliest earthquakes that would hit California, as it would cause 6 to 10 billion in damages and leave 63 people dead, 3,757 injured, and displace 12,053 others. There were also areas that faced significant damage and even collapse, such as the collapse of the Cypress Street Viaduct and a section of the Bay Bridge, as well as damage to the marine districts in Santa Cruz and San Francisco. Despite the mass amount of damage, Async is able to make first contact with the complex, establishing a permanent and stable null zone through the use of the low proximity magnetic distortion system.
At all.
November 14th, 1989. Async is actively repairing the integrity of the threshold and, at the same time, examining and charting the immediate area. It is here that they also take samples of the lighting components, like the ballast and the bulbs, discovering that the conduit could not be extracted due to them being unable to halt the power, discovering that there is ductwork in the ceiling above them, and taking ceiling drop tiles. After analyzing their composition, it is discovered that not only have the lights been running for a long time, but they also have very minimal wear, despite how long these components have been running and their expected usage life. Additionally, it is found that the lights and tiles are composed of the usual materials you'd expect to find in standard.
You listened
February
well.
3rd, 1990. Async conducts an expedition into the complex and discovers the body of a missing person. After deliberating for a bit as to whether it's part of the environment or not, they mark the area off and bring the body back to standard. February 5th, 1990. A medical examiner in Async conducts an autopsy report on the body found in the complex and discovers that the entire corpse has been overrun with a highly mutated strain of Hay bacillus, a gram-positive bacterium that can be found in human and animal gastrointestinal systems, and dirt.
Ew.
March 1st, 1990. Async sends a team of 4 researchers into the complex for an expedition.
So we don't know who that person was.
Given the date that was listed in the video, and the fact that 1990 was not a leap year, it's our first hint that something isn't quite right with the complex on that day.
I forgot about
the
leap years.
For this expedition, Peter Tench, ends up getting separated from his team as he follows what sounds like a crowd of people in the adjacent hallway. As he calls out to his team, a flash of blue is suddenly seen.
So he goes into a null zone.
The complex go out for a split second before they flicker back on, and Peter is suddenly alone. He wanders around the complex for a while and even finds some weird locations, but eventually makes his way back to the threshold. Only, it's not as he recognizes it. As he steps inside, he triggers an alarm and the video ends. March 5th, 1990. Async is seen building what would eventually become the first outpost, as well as setting up cameras with microphones pointing to lateral sections of the complex in what can be assumed as a way to document any potential anomalies. It is also here that we see one alert that featured a microphone failure, and another one that shows what looks to be a life form in the back of the corridor. The strange thing about the life form is that it looks to be displaying some sort of behavior that we've never seen before. It peeks and then hides back around the corner once again. March 11th.
So that one was a life form, not bacteria.
Unseen expedition
it's not bacteria.
Where they find a variety of locations within the complex.
Or wait, no, it was life form and still
life.
April 18th,
still shit. Okay.
Async conducts another unseen expedition and discovers a sort of mini gallery where some paintings can be seen. May 6th, 1990. Async conducts a routine expedition.
I was gonna say, that's today.
It's in this video that we'll hear talk about the DOE coming for a tour of the facility and the KV-31 project. The expedition team would eventually end up in the pitfall area where they see a door across the room. Mark makes his way to the other side,
so
and
Peter's
notices a
still
phenomenon
missing
that he tells Marvin
right now,
must be
right?
documented. As Marvin tries to make his way to the other side, he falls into a pit and ends up in a lower floor of the complex. This then leads to him following what he assumes to be a person calling for help and ending up discovering the red neighborhood. While it isn't the first time the team has seen a quote-unquote abnormal space within the complex, it does make Marvin question the validity of a null zone theory one researcher named Miller had. He makes his way through the red neighborhood and reaches the source of the voice in the furthest point of a house. Only he then realizes that he was not hearing a person. It was a life form.
I have chills just thinking about that audio.
And manages to escape.
That was so good.
The team comes back and is greeted by Anthony Dawkins, one of the supervisors for the KV-31 project. We then see 2 other supervisors watch the footage from Marvin's camera, and the look of shock, horror, and confusion of what they're seeing
They look
prompts
so
them to
funny
board up
there.
the hallway leading to the pitfall room until they have the means to be able to handle a threat like that. We also see that now they've installed blast walls in order to ensure nothing can
May
get in.
6th was
It's
a big
at this
day.
point
Yeah.
where the outpost should start to look a little familiar to you. May 8th, 1990. Async is hosting the head of the DOE and Secretary of Energy, James D. Watkins, and another DOE agent for a tour of the facility, the project, and to see the complex for themselves. After watching a presentation on the A-Space project and being shown the complex, the outpost is locked down, and Async and the DOE then proceed to negotiations. It's not long, however, before an alarm suddenly begins to go off, prompting the supervisor to look at the monitor, only to be met with shock when they see what looks like an Async researcher standing in the outpost and looking around. Later that day, Clyde, one of the researchers for the project, calls Ivan Beck and notifies him of the researcher's appearance. This researcher is revealed to be Peter Tench, and it is then revealed that he is the one who went missing in the complex during a routine expedition all the way back in March. The video then shows us a mirrored
March
image of a newspaper article in which it states that Peter was declared deceased from a car accident. This is obviously the case as
you
Peter
didn't
is
catch
still
that?
alive, but it
for
tells
this,
us that
yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
government faked his death. May 17th, 1990. Peter makes several drawings that suggest the events of informational video and presentation traumatized him. As we see redacted faces for the DOE officials that were present,
I
a
don't even
transparent
remember
crowd of
those
people
photos.
standing towards the direction
I
of
feel
the
like
threshold,
that
and
might
a
not have been
drawing
in the
referencing the song
playlist.
Sailing by Christopher Cross. It is believed that he would then escape into the complex 6 days later and remain there for about 2 days mapping the complex and trying to look for an alternate way out, though he's unsuccessful. It is also at this time that the flyer and commercial advertisement for Captain Clark's Ottoman Empire begins to circulate, possibly influencing Peter's decision in planning his escape back into the complex.
Wild.
May 25th,
That's
1990.
crazy.
Async is
Oh, I
conducting
love
a
that.
routine expedition to the Pitfall area to not only set up a sort of mini base of operations, but also explore the adjacent rooms. As they go into a section of the complex they haven't yet explored, they notice a map on the wall that depicts the threshold area, pitfall area, and other areas we can't really see. The team is then ambushed by a person who is revealed to be Peter Tench. The team then recognizes him and mention that they thought he died, and that they even held a funeral for him. Peter pleads with Marvin to tell him how many people are around, because he has to leave and get back to his family as they think he's dead. As Marvin tries to defuse the situation, Mark's radio suddenly chirps back to life, and we hear the threshold try and make contact and determine their status. Mark immediately begins to warn them about what's going on, and Peter, despite pleading, feels he is left with no choice. He apologizes and shoots Mark with his own shotgun, leaving him on the brink of death and Peter sprinting out of the complex. As Peter makes his way through the threshold and the lower levels of Async, he runs into Dr. Kirk Maxwell, who then disarms him. Despite 2 supervisors chasing him, Peter eventually makes it to the cargo
got a lot of
elevator, where he
supervisors.
Yeah,
gets
they
away.
really do.
May 26, 1990. Async
Hey, that's my
has kept
sister's
everyone
birthday.
Oh my
overnight after
God.
the events of the previous
And my dad's
day,
birthday
and
was
they even
earlier,
admit
too.
that They
Oh
have
my
not been
God.
completely transparent about certain
What's this
details
say
of
about
events
you,
that
Sarah?
have occurred. An unknown voice thanks the researchers for their cooperation and mentions that Ivan extends his gratitude for their patience. They then go on to explain what happened to Peter, his disappearance in informational video and subsequent return in presentation, the anomaly of him being completely fine but only having experienced 2 hours of time at the most, despite skipping 2
so it was only
months into
2
the future,
hours.
and his subsequent mental decline as he was kept in isolation while Async worked on reintegrating.
He was gone for 2 hours, and they said he was dead.
They mentioned that
no, he was gone for 2 months
because he felt the
for him it was 2 hours.
Illusion of what he's seeing and wasn't actually at Async or waiting to be reintegrated. They also mentioned that after Peter escapes back into Standard and out of Async, he would end up dying as he tripped down the hill and hit his head on a rock.
I don't trust it.
The meeting ends with a somber note
I
where
don't think he's
everyone
dead.
is meant to just hold
Or
on
they
to
killed
the
him.
idea that Peter Tench is dead and has been since March, and that there is nothing more to be extracted from the situation. Though the flashes of images we see at the end of Damage Control seem to suggest that he did not die the way they said he did. May 29th, 1990. Things are beginning to get shifty within Async as Marvin confides in George that he's paranoid that the DOE may have had something to do with Peter's death. George pleads with Marvin to watch what he's saying, and they move on from the topic. Async returns to the pitfalls section and construct a proper bridge across the pitfalls while covering all but one pitfall, the one that Marvin fell into. However,
I didn't
this
realize
exposition
that.
is meant to examine the aftermath of the phenomenon Mark witnessed during the events of pitfalls. We see that Async has noticed and marked a section of the wall where the normal texture ends and a stretched-looking texture takes over. We also hear that the green light he saw seemed to even extend and warp what he was seeing.
I forgot about the green
creating this
light.
narrow hallway, steep drop-off, and then a weird glitched version of the pitfalls room with incomplete pitfalls, a hill, and objects scattered about and clipped into the floor and wall randomly. This area is described as a dead end, but the implications this has for the green light are very interesting and suggest that it has a major part to play in the actual shaping and changing of the complex's structure. June 29th, 1990. A furniture salesman named Clark finds a very stable null zone in the basement of his furniture store.
So this is
and
right
as he
after all of
examines
this
it,
stuff.
He falls in. He begins to chart the complex, going in night after night only to feel like he's barely scratched the surface, seemingly developing an obsession with it. He then tells his therapist, Dr. Mary Klein, about the complex and sees that she doesn't believe him, to which he says that he will bring her proof. Though it seems like he stops showing up for his sessions shortly after this, likely because the boundary between the complex and Clark's furniture store was temporarily collapsed. However, shortly after this, we see Dr. Klein is looking for him in his store. She then ends up finding everything related to the complex in his basement and goes through the marked rectangle in the wall, ending up in the complex as well.
Big
From
mistake.
here, it's not
Should've
clear
just
what
believed
happens
him.
to either of them. But we can see that Async at this point has expanded their observations farther from the threshold and may have even built a second outpost somewhere deeper in the complex, close to the null zone that leads to Clark's furniture store. March 7th, 1992. An unknown character, likely Ivan, attends a conference. Due to the PAL format seen here on the floppy, I'm inclined to think that this is related to the major CERN conference held from March 5th to the 8th in 1992, in which they discussed Large Hadron Collider experiments.
How does she know all this? I feel like we missed so much.
This could be connected to the included photo of the Alice, which is a part of the LHC experimentation program, and is what Kane described as being behind the distortion plate in the low proximity magnetic distortion system.
This is
now,
nuts.
The reason I didn't add Found Footage 1 before this event is because while the beginning of Found Footage 1 takes place on July 4th in 1991, the rest of it seems to take place in 1996 after Kane no-clips into the complex. So keep this in mind as we finish the timeline. August 19th, 1995. An unnamed girl who the community refers to as Madison falls into the complex after she discovers, marks off,
wait, how do you know her
a
name?
null zone that has appeared on the
She
floor
said the
of her
community
garage.
named
We
her
see her drop wood
Madison.
chips into
I
the
kind of
null
liked
zone,
Ashley
a
better.
baseball, and then even sticks a tape measure in there. This would lead to the destabilization of the null zone, and as she describes a sort of pulling motion from the tape measure, the null zone suddenly expands and everything surrounding it is pulled in, including Madison and the camera. She wanders around a very disjointed and seemingly unstable portion of the complex, where we can see many instances of the green light appearing, a fatal car crash that is not connected to this video, a life form
I can't believe we missed
and
that.
what appears to be similar to the phenomenon that Mark witnessed in Pitfalls, only Madison is now caught in the middle of it. Her fate is left unclear, but many people believe she did not survive this. I believe she may have no clipped out at the very least, even if she did end up getting obliterated by the green light. Especially since we see that someone has found this tape and is watching it in the house. Though the sound of wind chimes right after we see this living room leads me to believe it's Ivan. September 23rd, 1996. A boy named Kane falls into the complex while filming a video with his friends. The clacker board says that the date is July 4th, 1991, but this seems to only be the case up until Kane falls into the complex. As Kane wanders around, he finds a hallway illuminated by the green light, notices the lifeform following and chasing him, and finds a variety of weird-looking and liminal areas, even finding an impossibly big chasm and a room with writing and drawings on the wall. However, Kane would unfortunately meet his end, as the lifeform would then end up sneaking behind him and killing him, knocking the camera out of his hand,
realized
where it would then no clip out
he was
and
grabbed in
that the ground. Estimated date April 24th, 1997. A young man named Bobby is working at home when he suddenly begins to hear noises coming from his basement.
I didn't know you actually saw it.
Or some other type of upkeep.
Yeah, I only knew that because people in the comments said it, but I didn't see it.
Like that was scheduled for that date. Only
and
to be
now we know
that
Kane
no
in this
there right now.
series
Ravi
died, which is crazy. I didn't register
his basement, where he finds his back door is shattered, and there's a new hole in his basement wall that seems to lead to a place with yellow lighting just around the corner. As Ravi crosses the boundary of the hole in the wall, the room shakes and he's then pulled into the complex. Ravi wanders around the complex for a total of about 9 or 10 hours, where he comes across a variety of very detailed and weird locations, like office spaces, a faux neighborhood room, a red city, a dance studio, a radio room, and even an industrial-looking area in the rooms in the back of the Backrooms. Yes, I intentionally wanted to say it like that. He even encounters the most humanoid and terrifying entity before he seemingly ends up squishing it with the wardrobe or scaring it off. Finally, he comes across a perfect copy of someone's house and locates a point where the boundary between the complex and standard is the thinnest and allows for communication between Ravi and an unnamed character that the community refers to as Waldad. However, when Waldad Ravi escaped from the complex, he ends up falling in himself, thereby collapsing the boundary and leaving Ravi helpless, alone, and with the knowledge that he left 2 children without their father. The next time we see Ravi, he is laying down in what we can assume is the Red City. It's unclear if he attempted to take his own life due to trauma and accepting that he won't escape, or if this is days or weeks later and he's dying due to lack of food. And with that somber note, we are all caught up on the timeline of events and have a good refresh on the lore for the Backroom series while we wait for the release of the movie on May 29th, 2026. I'm working on a few videos right now that will end up being posted soon, but more than likely not this week. If you enjoyed this video and want to go a little deeper on the mysteries of the Backrooms, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out my theories for different series playlist. I hope y'all take care, and I will see you in the next one.
I don't think I still understand the green light.
I feel like the green light is instead of like scientists producing that energy or whatever, it's just naturally doing it, which is causing like more of the Backrooms to like keep producing. At least that's what I thought, or that's what I think it is, but I don't know.
Which that makes sense, because since she was caught in the middle of it when they were saying like I can't think of how Red said it, but that she didn't say like explode, but she was caught in the middle of it.
Yeah, because it was so like powerful.
Because that's when it's like expanding and the liminal spaces are growing kind of thing.
Yeah.
I loved that video though. That was super helpful. I think Red had a great voice. I feel like she covered a lot of great things. Like her cadence of everything was really great. Mm-hmm. That definitely helped a lot. I feel like it was cool to hear like the things that I did know or that like made sense to me. I was like, okay, yes. And then some stuff it was like, oh, cool. I didn't know this, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think watching them it's like there's lots of little things that I think you can easily miss. Like clearly we all missed that the car clipping. Like, I didn't notice that at all. Sarah didn't notice it because I was so focused on other things around it to like just try to put things together. And so you just miss things. And so I feel like that was a really good video. You guys should definitely go subscribe to Red if you have not. Just, I mean, even showing like how the movie is going to tie in is super cool. I didn't realize it was so close to everything that was happening, and it makes me curious if we're gonna run into maybe Peter or Melvin.
That'd be so
Marvin.
Cool.
Why do I keep calling him Melvin?
Your lover Marvin that you don't even know his name.
Why do I keep saying Melvin? Marvin. But like,
Marvin.
Who we might, or Beck, like.
Ooh, definitely. Yeah, I feel like Beck is gonna be somewhere. He has to be. So
that's
such a good call out, though. The fact that she tied in the movie is super helpful, because since we went into the movie trailer not knowing anything, like, it's really cool to see how close they're connected. So I like that too.
I'm so excited for the movie. I'm so excited for all of the things to come, and I'm excited to play the Backrooms some more, because now we're gonna know the lore.
So saying that, we are going to play more Backrooms and share those VODs here. So if you like the gameplay, even though I know it's totally different, but if you like the gameplay, like and subscribe, stick around for that. And Kate and I are going to watch the movie together and do a little movie review and then share that video with you guys too. So the Backrooms is not over for us. There's more to come.
It's never over. It's never
just
over. Like the liminal spaces. They just keep going and going. So do we.